Folks are hopping in. Good evening, good afternoon, and Happy New Year, everybody. Gosh, what a exciting, wonderful way to close a year is to gather in intentional community. I'm really grateful for everybody that's able to join us live, and those of you guys that are going to hop on later on today if you need to. And what I wanted to do is provide a couple themes. There's actually 6 or 7 themes that came through for it's a little bit less about what to expect, but that does help our mind understand, what might be the energetic trends, what's happening astrologically, what kind of to expect in 2020. But more than that, I think it's just kind of a little bit of a roadmap for us to say, oh yeah, these are the next steps. So I prepared a couple so we're going to start with these themes, and then we're going to get to a practice, and then we'll do kind of a closure to bring everybody back to what happened in Uluru and everything else like that. So let me go ahead and just start with the first theme that came through. And the word that came through most clearly was trust. And it was interesting because the precursor to that word, which feels very clear and very strong for me, was hope. And hope almost feels a little too weak for where we're at now. I think hope might have been a little bit more about 2020. Well, geez, I hope someday people wake up and want to take care of the environment. I hope someday, there's this kind of disconnect with hope. Trust is this signifies this knowing that all is well, and this knowing that all is unfolding, and this deeper, wiser aspect of ourselves of being in process, being comfortable being in this transformation rebirth process. And trust also is interesting, trust versus fear, trust versus any kind of resistance or resentment. On some of the social media, there's almost a resentment of 2020, which is totally fine and completely valid. But it's interesting if we consider that, if we're in resistance to something, the universe doesn't hear the word no. So we're really kind of signaling that we want more, we're re-inviting it. And when we're in this trust and acceptance, we are in the learnings, we're in the lessons, and we're on this boat sailing through. So kind of just to say, thank you 2020 for all of the lessons, but for all the happenings, none of us would be exactly where we are today. So there's this trust and this knowing that, light is coming through on the planet, that these things that we have seeded and that we want, that we are starting to see them pull through and manifest. And I kind of want us to also, the word trust signals that we're on a big journey, that we're not impatient, that we, 2020, if to use sort of punctuation, would be an exclamation point. It was a big boom, and it 2021 is going to be kind of like a ... We're past this big exclamation point, and we're in this space. It kind of feels like this to me, this image of, we've got our backpack, there's the path, we know where we're headed. We can't see the end. 2022, we're going to be in this for a couple years, not the same type of heavy shift, but we're going to be in this transformation. We're going to get used to it. We're going to kind of get our sea legs under us. And we're not really going to be done until 2024 to really see some closure. And I kind of say that just because that number comes up, but also, we just had this big, the great conjunction, the Saturn, Pluto moving out of Capricorn into Aquarius. And if you remember back to the start, we started off 2020 with another really powerful conjunction. It was Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. And that was kind of signaling, you know, Pluto is a planet of death and rebirth, deconstruction, transformation, and Saturn's karma and structure and old ways, and kind of in Capricorn is its home. So, you know, Saturn has left Capricorn for Aquarius. Pluto's going to be deconstructing Capricorn structure until 2024. So Saturn and Jupiter are out. They're in Aquarius. There are big manifestational planets, but every planet, regardless of size, has equally potent energy. And Pluto is kind of this under the radar one because it's so far out there and it's so small. It's the planet of death and rebirth, and it's going to stay in Capricorn until 2024. So that's kind of also why I say this process of whatever we're going through with our social structures, with the things that we value, with why we value them, with how we act and do, we're going to be working it out for a few years. That's kind of the higher order. That's why trust came through first. Let me real quick go to the next theme that came through. This is going to be, I love this one. This is a lot more sort of uplifting flow. So flow, when we think about, you know, releasing and going with the current of a river, you can't fight upstream. You can't tense. We have to find this way of being able to trust that we'll know the flows of things. And it's not for us to know the future, even though I'm kind of talking about predictions. I'm going to be talking about general energetic themes. So the point also is that, you know, we're not even equipped at this juncture to be able to see the future that we really want to create. So it's important for us to get out of our own way. And if you think back to any one of those times where it wasn't quite working out the way you thought it would, but then when you got to where you wanted to be, when you looked back, you realized that everything that had happened, even the things that were seemingly super uncomfortable or, you know, inopportune, we're part of that flow. We're helping us. And so we are, as a collective, in a flow. And in order for us to, you know, we need to let go of our own personal old patterns, our cultural old patterns, so that we can change. And so flexibility is another word for this, you know, kind of releasing and surrendering. And the other part of flow, the interesting message that came through is we got to keep going. We also have to keep moving, which is why flow is both flexibility, but it's not like, you know, if you think about sometimes where it's really, really, really hard and all you want to do is just go over there and rest. Just get off the wagon. We also don't get to hop off the train right now. We need to just allow ourselves to keep going, to keep the momentum. This year is a year, 2021 is going to be a year where some aspects of movement of energy is going to be essential. So flow is kind of telling us about all of that, releasing and letting go, keeping going. It's also interesting. There's going to be a couple strange things that happen in 2021. We're setting ourselves up for some new realizations. And if we as a collective can't really truly vision or imagine our future, there's some things that we've forgotten about that we're going to get insights. The door is going to swing open a little bit as to things that we've forgotten. So it's going to be, there'll be also some interesting happenings. All right, let's get to the next one. I hope that this is, I thought it would be nice for you guys to have something else besides just me talking. So the next word for 2021 that came through was awaken. So I like this image because this shows us all the little beings inside that are awakening, these orbs of light, as if we're kind of being able to lift up off the ground and be sort of connected to spirit. So there's a lot of different ways the word awakening is relevant. One is more lights coming in, as I've talked about in the previous gathering. You know, we are awakening to our own abilities. And the other thing that came through is, you know, we have more than 6 senses. We're going to be awakening to our intuition, to our ability to telepathically communicate, to our ability to, you know, bilocate, to our ability to feel energy, to feel truth. Those are just the things that I'm aware of. And I'm not privy to a lot of big picture in that regard, but it's just awakening to our true powers and awakening from, it's almost as if we've been a little bit asleep. We've been a little bit, the whole planet's been asleep. And as I mentioned in the Uluru gathering, everything that happens to Mother Earth, we're the microcosm to her macrocosm. So as she's awakening, we are also awakening. We're coming online. We're getting upgraded. And so feeling truth and trusting our intuition and feeling energy are the most, I think, if we wanted to have our mind something to wrap around and be like, that's going to be something that's really going to be real. We're going to be looking at all the things that happen in our world, and we're going to be able to sense the truth of it. We'll know. And so there's not going to be this being led just because. We're going to really be able to plug in. And that's the first, most probably relevant way that we'll come online awakening this year. Our next theme, recalibration. I like this picture because, well, it's interesting because it shows time, but it shows time as this kind of, well, that's not just one clock, that's many, that's multi-dimensions, there's clock, there's all these different ways that everything's connected, and as if we are a finely tuned energetic machine, we're being invited to recalibrate. And to phrase it in the way of 2020 was kind of overwhelming. It was a lot of new energy, a lot of new shifts. That was an important part of the wake up. 2021 is going to be still new energy, but we're going to be, we can almost feel we are wiser, and our wisdom runs deeper. So there's still going to be this feelings of, there's going to be more light. We're going to feel expansion. We're going to feel expansion. And as energy comes in and we do expand, what happens is almost like the field has to set. So there's going to be a little bit of a contraction for a second as we're expanding. So it's going to kind of go out and set and go out and set. And it's a similar phenomenon to what I was talking about on the 21st gathering with the Schumann resonance, which the peaks come in waves. So that's our sort of energetic being able to get acclimatized to getting used to higher frequencies, higher vibrations, more light. Also, is this image so wonderfully helps us kind of start to understand time is not linear. So the amount of feeling of time that it took to get from January 1st last year to today is going to feel different than in the next 365 linear time days. It's probably going to be picking up because we've got a lot going on in air. Air signs, air energy, earth, water, fire, and air. Air moves quick. And one of the things, and we've got Mercury retrogrades just starting right now. We've been in, retrogrades have been in water signs. Retrogrades are moving into air. And so we have Mercury retrograde January 30th to February, I took some notes, 20th. We have 3. And then May 29th to June 22nd. And then September 26th to October 18th. Mercury is communication. Air is thoughts. Retrogrades invite us to revise and review and rewrite. So we're going to be encouraged during this year, and especially during those times I mentioned, to find new ways to think about things. Our minds are going to be kind of almost like there's some hard wires. If you think about your neural wiring, some of these things are fire-wired. It's just the easiest pathway, right? We're going to be encouraged to kind of, I've talked before about like picking the record up out of the groove and finding more connections, finding new ways to think about things, finding new expanded ways of being. So it's kind of going to be breaking away from these old collective belief patterns and habits. We also have, in terms of astrology, we have Saturn squaring Uranus, and that's going to happen 3 times. Let me check what I wrote down. February 17th, June 14th, and December 24th. So Saturn, as we know, is in Aquarius, this sign of high technology, the sign of future expansion, bright futures. Uranus is in Taurus. So Uranus is a planet of revolution. Taurus is a planet of earthly comforts, kind of like money, financial systems, really plush, beautiful, not decadent, but just this really beautiful, sensual, satisfactory accomplishment. Uranus is breaking down all the ways that we've been comfortable, essentially. And they're going to be square. And they're square. They're both... they're squaring in kind of like a hard aspect. And so when they're squaring in hard aspect, the energy is almost going to be kind of like locking horns. So they're going to be locked in this way of, we're not going to be sure how we're going to be able to shift out of things. One of the last times this happened was in 1930 and 31, where we had the Great Depression and we had the New Deal. Who knew that all that was going to transpire? I'm not saying we're going back to the Great Depression, but there is going to be also Uranus and Taurus signals radical economic shifts. So we will be seeing, I believe, towards expansion, economic shifts. And so just to give you a sense of this locking horns energy. So Saturn is the planet of karma. Uranus is the planet of revolution. Saturn is structure. Uranus is rebellion. Saturn is kind of the 3D world. Uranus is also part of this Aquarian high technology expansion. Saturn's linear time. Uranus is no time. Saturn's slow and cautious. Uranus is sudden change. So we have these 3 dates: February 17th, June 14th, and December 24th. And it's going to potentially be like, the first date is going to be that we're going to have some time around then, some realization about these themes. And then we're going to have, it's kind of going to go away. And we're going to have this own personal time to work with what we've realized. And then the middle time, the June 14th, is going to be this time where we're really going to be invited to step up, to be the wiser, to be this expanded self. There's going to be a lot of important shifting energetically in the middle of June. And then final closure, we're going to have the same themes going to come up again on December 24th. And it's going to be kind of this time of, when you've already sort of learned the lesson, but there's still some cleaning up of loose ends and tidying up shop around this idea of recalibration. All right, moving on. Let's see what's next. Oh, I like this one. Okay. Creativity. So I mentioned the idea of, we have more than 6 senses. So our heart, we're going to remember the power of our heart chakra in healing and sending light and expanding our ability to transform and be these transformational beings. Our third eyes are also going to open. And we're going to be able to, this year is going to be interesting because it's not going to be, I think when I mentioned this trust versus fear, there's kind of a meme out there that just says, 2020 sucked. Let's get into 2020, 21. It's not going to be that easy. We are going to be able to choose. There's going to be tons of love. There's going to be tons of light. There's going to be so much to be joyful about. But we are going to kind of get our energetic muscle strength by choosing to see those things and choosing to focus on them and choosing to talk about them. Because the more that we choose that, the more we're actually expanding that and telling the universe, I want more of this personally and for everybody. So there is going to be a massive expansion. And I've talked before about how light and dark expand equally. There's this yin yang aspect that keeps the universe in balance. So that also signals there's going to be a polarization. There's going to be this light dark thing that we're going to see. And it's almost like the fork in the road has already happened. That's not going to shift, but there's also going to be a lot of oneness and unity consciousness coming online. I'll talk about that in a second. But there's going to be a lot of new ways of being, new opportunities, dreams coming into reality that is going to feel really good. And we're going to get chances to be creative in what we think, creative in what we want to do, and creativity in all of its ways summons prana. It summons life force energy. So we are actually going to be harnessing more light as we venture into this. Another one of our soul callings, besides being transformers, is to be creators. And I think we can all remember those times when we were really creative, how how good that felt, how kind of alive we felt. So we're going to get these opportunities in ways that we might not even know yet, but there are going to be some things where we're going to kind of say, oh, hey, that really resonates with me. I'm going to go over there and try that out. I feel like I need to be there. I feel like I want to partake. The other part with creativity that I want to go back to the idea of flow, that we don't have to have it mapped out. If you think about the most creative times, you know, you sit down and it just flows through you. It's not necessarily like a spreadsheet. So we get to remember to meet our present moment with our creativity. Kind of almost like an Indiana Jones, MacGyver type of a deal. Like we get to be this super creative in the moment being, and we're going to have these opportunities this year. So that's really, I think that's amazing and exciting. Got one more, and then we'll get into our practice. And I already mentioned, I alluded to this, oneness. So I alluded to it in the sense of like, there's gonna be more polarization. There's gonna be more light and dark. We're gonna see it. There's also gonna be more kind of personal closure. Some people are gonna wanna close. And then we're also going to get the opportunity to realize that collective is going to be the future. And the idea here is, you know, I mentioned that we can't even visualize really what's possible. And if we each kind of think about, in past, there's been New Year's resolutions. What do you want to do this year? Well, I want to lose weight. I want to get a new job. I want to get married. Those are all totally fine intentions for the new year. But one of the things that I've kind of been seeing is that we're being invited to let go of our personal goals and this year seek collective goals. And that's also the beauty, the gift of 2020. We're really kind of being encouraged energetically to say, oh, hey, this place that we live, that we call home, I really do want it to last for a very long time. You know, oh, I really do want, you know, all beings happy and free and healthy. And so letting go of our personal goals, because we as individuals, quite honestly, right now cannot dream big enough individually at this juncture. And we need each other to sort of co-create this dream. And it's almost like, you know, nonlinear math, where 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals 3. And, you know, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 doesn't equal 4, it equals 100. So there's this kind of expansive quality that we're going to be drawn towards. We're already gathering together because we know that, you know, I could spend this time right now on my own meditating in a room, but I want to meet some other people. I want to, you know, even if I don't meet them, I want to gather. I want to be with people. And that's kind of been another blessing of this year, where we're finding new ways to do this across time and space, which points us to our more than 6 senses coming online. So those are the themes that came through for this year. And what I want to get us to before we kind of get to a recap is just a meditation. And let me share my screen. This is, it's going to be, what came through is calling it a 0-point field meditation. So the 0-point field is a concept that people in modern academia know of in quantum physics. I'm not going to even claim to understand the hard science behind it. I remember meeting Stephen. I didn't actually meet him, but I was in the auditorium with Stephen Hawking when he came to Stanford, and just being in the room with that guy was amazing. He knew about this. I mean, maybe he was one of the people that invented it, but the idea is that we're all connected. That's the most, you know, we can put it, science is going to meet spirit here also, is going to be one of these magnificent, we can't even see how that's going to happen yet, but it's happening even right now. So let's go ahead and see if we can just drop into this meditation and get a taste of it for ourselves. So I want to invite you first to just close your eyes and just come into your body. Come into the room where you're at, wherever you're watching this, whenever you connect. and connect to your physical heart. Feel it beating in your chest. And then connect to your heart center. Just, move that awareness right along your spine at the center of your chest, where your heart is, right at the center. And feel that light that is within you always. And I want to invite you now to take your hands as if you're holding like a basketball out in front of your heart. And take your hands, and our hands, those of us who've done any work with healing energy know that we have these we have chakras in our hands, two big energetic conduits in the center of the palms of our hands. Some would say they run reverse polarity energies, which is why one might spin one way, the other is going to spin the other way. It will eventually rebalance whatever it's holding between its hands. So we're just going to imagine you're creating this basketball of light right in front of your heart. And the more you do this, the more, this is another part of our more than 6 senses coming online. You're going to be able to feel, you can feel it get really intense. You're going to be able to expand. You'll feel when that sphere stops. But just imagine, even if you can't feel it, that you're holding a basketball of light. And you're actually creating it by allowing the energy from your palms to run through. And now imagine that you're kind of letting your hands expand out further and further. And this ball of light is going to kind of merge with your heart center, which is also a ball of light. And your heart is wise. It knows what to do here. It's going to kind of allow this big ball of light to expand and just take up your field. And at this juncture, you can just sit your hands, palms face up on your lap. And now see if you can feel your energetic field. And this isn't a check the box. There's nothing wrong or right with you if you can really feel it or you can't feel it at all. But see if you just tune into your energetic field and notice maybe where the light that's present in your field, maybe also where your field at this particular moment just kind of starts and stops. There are some days when we're super expanded. There are some days when, especially if there's a lot of energetic static, say you're walking through the New York subway, you're going to pull yourself in a little bit. So just notice where your field might be. We're typically about, depending on the person, between 3 to 8 feet out in all directions. So from this point of even attempting to sense your energetic field, in your mind's eye now imagine kind of like this image that I'm sharing with you, that there's everything's energy, that there's these little balls of light, there's these little charges that are always picking up on and sending out energy. That just because we can't see it doesn't mean everything's not already connected. So now I just want to invite you to see how comfortable you can get with knowing you're always connected to everyone and everything. One way you're connected is via your energy field. Another way you're connected is via your consciousness, but we're kind of going to work with our energy field for a moment here. And see if you can imagine that every single particle is energy, that your field can reach around the globe. That your field can send energy to someone on the opposite side of the earth. And as the 0-point field theory would suggest, that your field can also reach out into space. Another way to think about this is the idea of a quantum field, or some people call it the field, that there is just this ever-present field. And that this field, when we consider the 0-point field aspect, this field is all-knowing. This field has intelligence, and we are within this field. So now, just imagine that your aura, your own personal energetic field, is a bubble of light. And see if you can allow this bubble of light to be completely encompassed by and seated within this 0-point all-knowing energy field, that it has complete intelligence. And as we just simply sit here, one of the miracles of quantum healing, as they like to say, is that there's nothing to do. The field is doing the work. You might feel a spin and a reverse polarization spin to clear you out. You might just simply feel yourself seated in this field, and there's sort of currents running through you. And we're all unique. This 0-point energy field, as you've created yourself this ball of light. This is always present, but you're engaging it right now. And as this ball of light is consciously connecting to this field, this all-knowing, ever-present field is engaging with you and is able to give you everything that you need to rebalance you, to heal you, to attune you. We're each unique, but whatever you're receiving right now, you might even feel the energy if your palms are still face up on your lap coming into your hands. So just receive from this all-knowing field of light. And let this be sort of a door swinging open experience for the rest of the year of coming online to all the ways that you are intelligent and powerful and capable of more than you can even imagine. Just receive the light right now. And you might even notice what you see in your mind's eye. You might notice what you feel, any tingles of energy, or maybe just peace. And just a few more moments here, because this field is beyond, as physicists say, linear time and space. It does not need to be that we have to stay here for an hour to receive. We're just going to stay here for a little bit longer, just to give ourselves a sense of what this field might be and our place within it. Another way to think of this is universal consciousness, source energy. And then just as you're ready, just kind of preparing to come back into your body. Maybe you wiggle your fingers, touch your hands together, wiggle your toes, and just kind of roll your shoulders a little bit and feel how maybe you're a little bit lighter. Maybe you're a little bit brighter. The idea is that we each get exactly what we need whenever we interact with that. It's not unlike the concept of God. It's totally different, and then for some it's totally the same. I wanted to update you guys about Uluru. I mentioned there's a couple people that wrote me and said, did anything even happen? Yeah, something happened. It was pretty cool. This is not my photo. There were people that were gathered there. This is a photo that somebody took and shared on YouTube. Let me see if I can expand it, make it a little bigger. So this is cool. This is Uluru. There's just like, you see that little beam of light that's shooting up out of the land there. This is what some of the elders were claiming, was that rainbow serpent becomes the rainbow bridge, I think is what it was. But it's also interesting that it looks not unlike the color of the solar plexus chakra, which is golden yellow light. So I kind of have been told, and I also understand that we're doing it. There's no question about whether or not we are creating great shifts on our planet at this time. There are enough enlightened, awakened, centered souls to carry this forward. And that is actually something to be very grateful for. Also, we're going to we're going to be rewiring our minds away from linear time. So there's going to be no need to receive the confirmations that we, our rational linear mind also often wants. It's like, did I check the box yet? And we're going to just be so in that flow this year that it's going to be, the fearful mind is going to fall away, is the best way to put it. So one other theme I didn't quite get, but I think we'll see come online in 2021. I've mentioned the rebirth of the sacred feminine, so that the divine masculine and the divine feminine within each and every one of us, we come into harmony. We're equally balanced. Another way that this is spoken of is the return of the Great Mother. Within religion, that might mean, if you're Catholic, it might mean the Blessed Mother. If you're not religious, it means maybe Earth or some other kind of cosmic force. But the idea, we're the microcosm to the macrocosm. So as we're waking up, as we're coming online, she's coming online. She's coming back. Nothing was ever lost. It's just now is the time of the awakening. And we're going to be able to have these beautiful moments and realizations this year. We're also going to have tremendous opportunity and practice time to be the creators, be creative, to create the love, to create the light, and to create that future that we want to see. So with that, that's pretty much my offering. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I wanted to let you all know, to share with those who you think. Ellen says, yay, yes. To share with, I'm going to be starting a new offering in just about a week. It's called the Lunar Herbal Alchemy Guild. And what's going to be happening is it's going to be a monthly lunar meeting. And I am going to handcraft, as I did in my previous business. And up here on the property, we have growing. This is all going to be homegrown, handcrafted teas, tinctures, sprays, soaps that you get in the mail. And then also an online course and a gathering to kind of return to the earth and return to the plant kingdom. So I'll put a link if you want to go to the YouTube channel and find a link to join. There's just about a week left to join if you'd like, which is another fun thing to expect in 2020 is tons of ways to gather and tons of ways to be co-creative. And also, I just want to thank every single one of you who did take the time to join live right now. I know there's a lot of you that wrote and said you couldn't meet quite early at this time. So this is going to be on the YouTube channel as well. But if anybody has any other questions, I'm going to leave it open for just a little bit longer. Any other comments about anything that's coming through for these times right now? And if you don't want to share, that's okay too.
Where did you do your major study of these things?
Life. It's funny. When I was a kid, my dad asked me, I remember when I was a kid, my dad asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I blurted out when I was a young kid, I said, I want to be a farmer and an Indian, like a feather Indian, a Native American. My dad, he was like, that's not lawyer or doctor. So then I went through all the stuff to try to be a lawyer and doctor, and the shoe just never fit. And now that I'm here, it's kind of like, I feel like I'm remembering the stuff that maybe I came in already knowing. Non-linear. I have done some trainings and studies with some shamans and some energy masters. But most of the time, most of the healing has been, most of the learning has just been by doing it every day. I pretty much consider this my 24/7 job at this point, but thank you for asking that question. And David says, thank you so much. Ellen says, this new year will be amazing. Lots of change. Yes, totally. I love it, you guys. I love that everybody's that we're all doing this, you know, and the important thing to remember is that we are this powerful and we are doing it, and each and every one of us is necessary. And this is my dog Hamlet. Whenever there's a lot of energy coming through, sometimes he likes to come in and say hello. So here he is, coming onto my lap. Comment, are we going to experience the fifth dimension with dropping of the heavy energies, the ego-based stuff? Yeah, that's part of the oneness. That's not going to be, that might be something more kind of towards 2024, to be honest. That's why I kind of said 2021 is going to be amazing. It's going to go fast. There's going to be a lot that's happening. It's going to be like 2020, if anything, it almost felt like there were some clunky, heavy moments that felt like they lasted a very long time. Those energies will be dropping, but also, you know, like I said, part of also what I can see is that they do hold something in the 3D world in balance. Light needs dark, that yin yang thing. But as we kind of transcend, as, you know, Buddhist traditions and other religions talk about, kind of coming up out of this physical world that we get so attached to. But we don't have to leave the body, but the 5D is going to be present itself. David says, do you see thought developing as creative fifth dimensional action? Yeah. Well, we're going to be developing as creative fifth dimensional beings, and also we're going to be bringing it back into the 3D world. That's kind of what we practice. That's what we did in the last podcast, where we brought energy out from Earth and sent it out. And that's also what we did with Uluru. And I remember seeing this vision. It was about 6 years ago, where, you remember when the goggles that you can, like, I guess you can put on goggles and play video games or something like that. Some invention came out, and it was like virtual reality goggles. And I literally saw, we already know how to do that. And we're going to be doing it, creating things in the future. And that's what's coming online, to remember even what we're supposed to create, how we create it. So yeah, thank you for those questions. I felt tremendous joy in smoothing out as we connected with the field during the meditation. Yeah. That's going to be something that we're going to be able to just know how to do. Like, kind of like energy healing. When I teach energy healing, I mentioned the energy comes through your hands. What do you do when you hit your shin on the coffee table? You put your hands over your shin. What happens when your head hurts? You put your hands on your head. We instinctively haven't forgotten a fair amount of this, but we just don't even know what we're doing or why we're doing it. So the idea is that there's going to be this kind of connecting of the dots. And it's just like when you finally know what's going on, there's this settling and this settling in. That's what's going to be happening. I do believe that we will be shifting to caring more about the collective and Earth and less selfish. Yeah, for sure. There's those of us who are already real clear about that, and there's a lot of us who are awakening, and there's nobody's better than anybody else, but the point is critical mass is here energetically. You know, I think it was the Buddha that says, or Dalai Lama said something, there's a Buddhist quote where, like, if 1,000 people are gathered, we did it, you know. And so way more than 1,000 people that are interested in these topics now, and that is also a gift of 2020. It really did accelerate some things that were you know, I don't know that I would have been doing as many Zoom meetings. I may have done one, but I certainly wouldn't have dedicated tons of my time to doing this. And it's been one of the most satisfying, soul gratifying experiences to meet you all. So I'm grateful for that. You know, I think we can all think of those things that, but for the way that we kind of got smushed and pushed, we wouldn't be where we're at. And so I once journeyed to my descendants to ask them what we ended up doing to survive this time. And they said, put hands on. Yes, put hands on. That's also one of the ways to send, you know, if you ever want to just go out and touch the earth, put your hand. That's why playing in the earth is so, our hands, we can really connect with her and send her energy. Okay, you guys. Well, you know, Happy New Year. It's kind of a perfect one to spend together and knowing we're all connected, and also, you know, uniquely in our own individual space. As for whatever reason, it's all perfect right now. I do totally believe it's all perfect. So thank you guys for sharing your energy and sharing your light and sharing your love. You too, sweet Lisa. All right. Well, cheers to, I'll see you in 2021. Bye, guys.